What if the money in your pocket became worthless overnight? What if the trust in fiat money we've been conditioned to accept disappears? Let's delve into these thought-provoking questions. Fiat money, a concept that shapes our daily lives, is a type of currency issued by a government that isn't backed by a physical commodity like gold or silver. Its value isn't derived from the material it's made of, but from the trust and faith we place in the economy and the government that issues it. It's like a social contract we've all signed without realizing it. We trust that the paper or digital numbers in our accounts hold value, and that others will accept them as payment in exchange for goods and services. However, this trust is fragile. It's like a house of cards which, if one card is removed, the whole structure could potentially collapse. Thus, the question arises, what happens when that trust evaporates? To understand the implications of losing trust in fiat money, let's explore the last 70 years of monetary devaluation, focusing specifically on the significant loss of value witnessed over the past 5 decades. Our timeline begins in the mid-20th century, when world was still reeling from the effects of the Second World War. This was a period where currencies were largely tied to the value of gold, a system known as the gold standard. Doubts over its sustainability began to creep in as the 50s rolled on. Fast forward to the early 70s. The United States, spearheaded by President Nixon, made the groundbreaking decision to cut ties with the gold standard. This liberated the dollar and consequently other global currencies from the shackles of gold. The fallout, though, was that the value of money was now largely hinged on the faith and credit of the issuing government. As we crossed into the late 20th and early 21st century, inflation, a corrosive factor to fiat currencies, became a more common occurrence. Governments now had the power to print more money to invigorate their economies, yet every new bill printed diluted the value of existing ones. This was start of a problematic inflationary spiral. In the last 5 decades, we've seen a pronounced fallout in the value of fiat currencies due to inflation and other factors. The global financial crisis of 2008, the European debt crisis, and the recent pandemic-induced economic downturn have all led to significant devaluations. Add to this burgeoning national debts of many countries, often financed an increased money supply, and you have a recipe for further erosion of fiat currency value. The more a country is in debt, the less trust investors place in its currency, instigating a vicious cycle of devaluation. Thus, the value of fiat money has been on a steep decline, caught in an unpleasant downward over the last 50 years. It's become abundantly clear that trust in fiat money is not a given. It's a fragile entity, easily disrupted by economic volatility and decisions. Losing this can trigger dire consequences, as we'll discuss next. So, what happens when people lose trust in their nation's fiat money? Well, the consequences can be quite severe. One of the most immediate effects is hyperinflation. As faith in the value of currency wanes, people start to spend it more quickly, fearing that it will lose its worth. This can lead to a vicious cycle where the speed of money circulation increases, causing prices to skyrocket. A stark example of this is Zimbabwe in the early 2000s. The government started printing money to pay its debts, which led to a loss of confidence in the currency. As a result, prices began to rise exponentially, with inflation reaching an almost unimaginable 89.7 sextillion% a month by November 2008. And then there's economic instability. When trust in a nation's currency is lost, it becomes exceedingly difficult for that nation to borrow money on the international stage. Investors become wary, and the country may find itself unable to fund essential services or pay off its debts. This is what happened in Argentina in the late 90s and early 2000s, when a severe economic crisis led to the country defaulting on its debt. Beyond the economic consequences, there are also social implications. When a country's currency is no longer trusted, it can lead to widespread unrest and even revolt. In Venezuela, for instance, the breakdown in trust in the bolivar has led to widespread protests and a humanitarian crisis, with many people unable to afford basic necessities. In sum, the consequences of a loss of trust in fiat money are not confined to the financial world. They can permeate every aspect of society, from the ability of a government to function to the day-to-day lives of its citizens. The consequences of losing trust in fiat money can be dire, leading to economic chaos and societal upheaval. What lies ahead for fiat money amidst potential pitfalls? To understand, we focus on 2 likely scenarios. Firstly, we see the rise of cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. Their appeal lies in their decentralization, breaking away from the traditional government or institutional control seen in fiat money. Employing blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies offer unparalleled transparency and security, a feat fiat money struggles to match. They may resolve some issues faced by fiat money to their finite supply, yet they bear their own challenges like extreme volatility, lack of regulation, and environmental impact. Secondly, there's the possibility of fiat money reverting to commodity-based currencies like gold. Here, the value is tied to a tangible asset with intrinsic value. This is the dollar's depreciating gold value since the end in 1971. This system resists inflation due to the limited supply of commodities, but poses issues in the valuation and storage of these assets. Although these scenarios hint at a bleak future for fiat, let's not forget its unique benefits. Fiat money is easy to carry for transactions. It also allows the government to control the economy through monetary policy, directing inflation and exchange rates. Moreover, unlike commodity-based currencies, subject to the availability of commodities like gold or silver, fragile trust in fiat money is another vital factor. People previously turned to tangible assets like gold, real estate, or barter systems when faith in fiat money waned. This emphasizes the need for fiat money to address such concerns while leveraging its inherent advantages. So, the future of fiat money is uncertain but teeters on a fragile trust. The rise of cryptocurrencies and possible return of commodity-based currencies are significant points of focus, each with their own concerns. However, control and independence from commodity availability offered by fiat money can't be ignored.